Hi guys, I'm the Dutch Movie Guy, aka Kees Cornelissen, and here today with my last review of Star Wars Rebels ever, because it's the last episode of the show, the last 3 episodes of Star Wars Rebels. This is a bittersweet moment. There was there were a lot of emotions going through me, and I wasn't able to fully be emotionally expressive when I was watching it, because I was watching it with my girlfriend and I kept it down, and I was like, everything's just going through my head, like comprehending what you just saw. And then I watched Rebels Recon, and that made me cry, to realize certain things, also to have a couple of answers to things. And of course I have my strong speculation about something that'll happen. I'll get into everything. This will be a long as fucking review, so be happy that it's not on my phone. Yay! That's something. The last 2 videos that I did on my channel are reviews for Rebels, but I had to do it on my phone because I didn't have a computer. Now I have a computer, so I can film it, edit it. Yay! It's all good now. So I'm happy that I am able to do the final review at least good quality, and I hope that my other reviews are good enough. Let's just call it at that. Ramblings about stuff that I don't need to talk about in this review. I'm sorry. There is a lot going through my mind still. Because I will be also giving my final thoughts on the full show, on the full season and the full show. So that's something. Just let's start with these episodes. The first episode started with the ghost again. I was like, we haven't seen the ghost in so long. Last time we saw the ghost was in The Occupation, episode 5 of this season. And that was, so episode 5 is in the first half, and this was episode 14. It's been a very long time since we've seen the ghost, so I was very relieved to see it again, and very well used in action in the entirety of this this episode. So the thing is, the ghost, we see the ghost landing on the AT-AT now, because the clones made the AT-AT into their home base now. They got Hondo, they got Ketsu, every character that is of somewhat of a help, and that has been somewhat of a help throughout the show, that wanted to help these rebels, this rebel group, shows up. You have Hondo, you have Ketsu, you have the clones, we have Rex and Kallus back, also for the first time since The Occupation. So to see everyone back in this episode was very good, I think. And I also think that it was a very good move in the end, in retrospect. Like, I was not entirely sure how I felt about that while watching these episodes, but after seeing it, I'm happy that they kept it on Lothal with the people that we know from the show mostly. And while these people may not be just in the show, these are the most important people of the show. Like, it's not, you don't have a Mon Mothma or an Organa or Dodonna. Actually, I think that this is taking place just before Rogue One, because it also kind of makes sense. This was a theory that I had. Like, essentially, these episodes are a big victory for the rebellion in general, for the rebels. And the thing is, Rogue One is not really that victory. Yes, they might have stolen the Death Star plans, but remember the crawl text? The rebellion had their first victory and managed to steal the Death Star plans. What if you separate them? What if it's open for interpretation, and that this is the victory, and Rogue One, they managed to get the Death Star plans, but that wasn't necessarily a victory because they lost essentially their entire rebel fleet there, or at least a big part of it. And like, they would have lost the rebel plans if not for the quick hyperspace jump at the end, but still, it's something to think about, I think, and I would be okay with it. It's not like, oh my god, that's amazing, or oh my god, I hate it. It's like, it's what it is. But the thing is, the end conclusion is we ended on Lothal, where we started it. And with the first episode, they trap Price in a pretty good way, I'd say. It totally makes sense, and I was so satisfied and happy to finally see that bitch die, especially after what happened with Kanan. I was like, the bitch needs to die. The bitch needs to fucking die, and she did. Thank God. And she was. I was like, are they honestly going to like rip her to pieces like when the wolves had her? No, sadly that didn't happen. Would have been awesome, but honestly, there was a shot that two wolves had a stormtrooper, and one had his leg, and the other had the rest of him. And I was like, are they actually going to rip his leg off? Sadly, we actually do see what happened. I think it would have been a little bit okay. At one point, it's not the best to see, especially not in a kid show, or like the lack of seeing. But it would have been cool to have that just be that, and then you can fill in that probably the wolves ripped the stormtrooper apart, which would have been quite gruesome and quite heavy for a kid show, but still that would have been fun because like you know that if this wasn't a kid show, those stormtroopers would have been ripped to pieces, all of them. And holy shit, that would have been pretty cool. But yeah, okay, kid show. Sorry. Um, but that was a very good action sequence around the rebel establishment on Lothal. I thought. Was it the best? No. But I was like, okay, they're setting up for more in the next episode, next episodes. So the first one was a little smaller scale while still using a lot of the characters, which I thought was already pretty cool. But then, of course, you go to the big one. They go to the dome, which the dome has been on Lothal for a very long time. And actually, what I did, I watched Rebels Recon before shooting this review because I needed some answers. I had questions about a couple of things, and luckily they explained some already in the Rebels Recon. So, but anyway, about the dome, that was there since the beginning, and now we finally get rid of it. And it also, like it shows, it has a shield. Thrawn comes in. I'll get to that in a little bit. But the thing is that it was pretty cool to see all these characters bond together. Zeb kills Rogue, and I think it's a. I also was very happy with Zeb in these episodes. Like, Zeb has a certain way about him. He knows he's a big brute, and he actually, like, really acts to it. And he did that in these episodes. These episodes were really him being the big brute, and that was, I thought, was really, really funny, really cool to see. Just a good use of the character. I do have to stay with the positives for a bit because I will get into my negatives. And believe me, I do have some negatives. And if anyone has thoughts about my negatives, why I may be wrong, then please tell me about that. But seriously, I'll get into it. The sequence on Lothal, most of it was good action. I was very sad that Gregor died instead of Milch. Like that was okay. That's something that bothers me. Sorry. Okay, I just have to get into a couple of things that bother me, because believe me, there is some bullshit in my opinion in these episodes, and it just shows that it's a kid show again. And especially after the last couple of episodes, I was like, this is not the best note you can end it on. Like, as I said, the previous one, World Between Worlds, might be my favorite of the entire show. Because of the fact that it goes dark and it's not too lighthearted. And I knew that they couldn't go too dark and gritty and not too lighthearted on these episodes. I knew that it would be directed more towards kids and really having a happy ending. But my issues come with that, really. One thing that I'm incredibly disappointed by, this was something that I've said a while ago. How does Hera become a general? Explain me that. We never see it. The only thing that we learn, and it's through how she's called, is that suddenly in the episode Rebel Assault, she's being called General, and then everyone just calls her that. and we never see the promotion. And I was expecting that, like, it didn't need to be a huge fucking thing. But as I said already, like, when you introduce, like, the X-Wings into the show, when you make Hera a big part of this show, a general in the rebellion, I would expect that to be a moment. And you don't need to spend a full episode on it. But as I said, like with Crawler Commandeers, or I think I said it in Rebel Assault, my review for that, you could have used the Crawler Commandeers episode to showcase more of Hera and actually becoming the general, and actually showing where the X-Wings come from. And you don't need a whole lot. You just a couple of more scenes with her on the Rebel base instead of whatever kind of bullshit is going on Lothal, because honestly I didn't care, and it was the most filler of this show, of this season I mean. So yeah, I am severely disappointed by that. I said it the moment that I saw Rogue One, and I said it in like reviews, the one thing that I'm looking forward to most is seeing Hera become a general, and it just gets skipped over really. It's just, it happens. I'm like, no, fuck you. I just have an issue with that. I was expecting something. And I know that some people might not have an issue. It's like, oh no, she's just a general. It just happened and you can figure it out for yourself. I'm like, this is just one thing. Let me have this. I wanted this. And it sucks. So that is one thing. Another thing is my favorite villain in all of Star Wars. He has quickly become my favorite villain in all of Star Wars. Now this is where Rebels Recon did help. Thrawn does not die. And I'm also very excited about what Dave Filoni said about that. Thrawn doesn't die, Ezra doesn't die, and he didn't want to complete that story yet, but he doesn't know how to complete that yet, keyword. And he still wants to figure out some things, so that really, really makes me believe that there is going to be a next series that is taking place after Endor. What I have been saying for a while now, we are going to get a new animated series set between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, following some of these characters. Not all, but some. And I think that is what he hinted at. We will see the resolution of that, because we still have Thrawn Alliances coming up. I wonder, with Thrawn Alliances, what is going to happen there. When is that set? Maybe it does explain something about what we saw. Maybe it doesn't, but I'm very excited about what it could be. So that's essentially the positive I take away from it. But when I was watching the episode, I was like, this is not how you kill off Thrawn. This is not at all how you kill off Thrawn. There is no way you're killing off Thrawn like this. Because seriously, the Purrgil, like back in season 2 when we had that episode, everyone, or at least most people, were saying, this is filler, this is not good, this is a bad episode, the Purrgil are stupid space wolves, like fucking really. Okay, and I hope we never see them again. And we do. Nope. Fucking nope. It's like the Purrgil. Yeah, and here's the thing. The explanation in Rebels Recon annoyed me a lot. The explanation was, well, you see now that the Purrgil weren't filler and they actually do tie in. It's like, fuck you. And nobody gave a shit about the Purrgil. Nobody wanted the Purrgil again in Rebels, and the way you use them now to like get rid of Thrawn, fuck you. Just fuck you. That's fucking stupid. That's just not good. So I really hated that moment when I was watching it. I don't think I'll ever like it, because I honestly think the Purrgil are a stupid concept, and like maybe the idea could work in something, but it's like this is way too kiddie, way too stupid, and it's like I don't want this in my Star Wars. So get rid of this kiddie bullshit, and do not make me think for a second that you kill off Thrawn like that, because Thrawn deserves a way more meaningful, better death than that. Thrawn is too big, too good of a character to go out like that. So yeah, I had a very fucking big issue with that. But as I said, I'm excited about what may happen because it is confirmed he is not dead. Okay, we'll see about that. Um, Alright, the Emperor shows up, which was awesome. And I also thought, I was already thinking, why is this form? Well, it probably is because he kind of like disguises himself with a hologram, but then you eventually do see, oh, it is him, and he just did something. And with the temple, the rebuilding of the temple and Ezra's parents, that is odd, but it kind of makes sense. And it was just like a little drawn out, in my opinion. Like it keeps going back and forth between that and the main group with their stuff in the dome. But it was like, okay, we can skip this now. They're really dragging it out there, and just wasn't the biggest fan of that. So yeah, I do have my issues with this episode, and I didn't want to have this many issues. I wanted to love this episode. I wanted this episode to be the best episode of the entire show, and it just wasn't. Best episode in the entire show might be the previous one, or Twilight of the Apprentice, but it wasn't this one. However, as disappointed as I am in certain things, I did love parts of this finale. And it mostly comes with the very, very ending, where they explain things. Rex and Hera live past the Battle of Endor. Rex we already knew because he's in Return of the Jedi, and then Hera we already knew because of Forces of Destiny, but it's still nice to have the confirmation, which is cool. Then Sabine survives, Ahsoka survives. I still really wonder how was Ahsoka living for years without revealing herself. Okay, weird. We'll see, I assume. Because Sabine does say that she wants to go find Ezra. And I thought it was really nice that Zeb showed Callus Lyra San. That was a really nice touch, and like they're good buddies, and maybe that'll come back, maybe it won't. But it's a nice ending to them as a character. Now, Hera and Kanan officially had sex because they have a son. At least I mean, who else would be the father? So let it sink in. Hera and Kanan had sex. That's that's nice. Okay, that sounds weird. Maybe sounds creepy. But the thing is, what is the name of the kid? Jacen Syndulla. Jacen. That name, as in Jacen Solo in Legends, son of Han and Leia. Now I have my theory about Jacen Syndulla, that it actually is one of the Knights of Ren. That he becomes one of the students at Luke's academy, and then when everything goes awry, Jacen goes with Kylo Ren to become one of the Knights of Ren. And we might get just a little bit in that bit of that in episode 9. We'll see, but that's still nice. Now there was another thing. I was very happy to hear Captain Pellaeon. I was like, oh my god! I just screamed. I was like, oh my god! Another Legends reference. That's what Rebels is doing as well. Not just the show, not just being a show on its own, also tying Star Wars together, prequel, original, and sequel trilogy. That's why I think Jacen Syndulla will be one of the Knights of Ren. But also bringing Legends into it, and people might be pissed by the fact that Jacen Solo is not canon. but Ben Solo is, and he's a great character. He's like the best character of the new trilogy, in my opinion. So that's just me. And do think it's very cool that they give this nice nod to Jason, because essentially that does set up for like some cool potential storylines. We'll see about that. But the thing is, in the end, I can't be too mad at the season finale. A lot of people know about a lot of series finales not being too good. I mean, just like my girlfriend's favorite show is How I Met Your Mother, and that show so far, I'm watching it with her, is a very fun, nice show. I'll admit that. And everyone that I know that has seen the show is like, yeah, no, that's a fun show for sure, but skip the end. I'm like, why skip the end? Because it's fucking terrible. Because actually, like, a lot of shows have a very big issue with ending the show satisfying for every fan. This, for me, was not the most satisfying, but I really am excited about like what may happen next, what Filoni is probably going to tackle next in his animated show, which is something that um, I've talked about. Like, I think Filoni is going to set a new animated series with some of these characters between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. Said that for a very long time now, and yeah, it really does seem like he's doing that, because he is saying these things in Rebels Recon that there is no end to the story yet of Thrawn and Ezra, and of course Ahsoka and Sabine. They're going to find Ezra, and it's like, yeah, no, that's where the next show is going to. At least it will show that. I do hope that they will bring in some new characters. That it's just not that it's not just all old characters from Rebels that we know, but I assume they will, and that the older characters from Rebels. I mean, as much as they are like a part of that show, I do want them to be side characters. I do want there to be a new main character. Heck, maybe even make Jason Solo a thing, or something. We'll see. But I do think that that show, whatever it is, whenever it is going to be great, and it's going to be a very um, like satisfying continuation for the fans of Rebels, because Rebels is a great show. Rebels honestly is an amazing show that I've very much enjoyed for these 4 seasons. I love this show. It's one of my favorites actually. And look, Clone Wars is great. It is. I just prefer Rebels. And there are some people who are like, no, Clone Wars is way better. How can you possibly like Rebels better? It's like, hey, I got a fucking opinion. And it's that Rebels is better than Clone Wars for me. But that's me. I mean, your opinion might be different. That's fine. But I love this show. I really do. I have loved reviewing this show. And actually, I forgot I need to give my final thoughts on the full season of season 4. Season 4 is probably the best season out of all of them, simply because there is hardly any filler. It is very tightly written, and there are a lot of amazing things in these episodes in season 4, especially the second half. The second half was so strong that they really ended on a high. And yes, I may not be the biggest fan of this finale, the 3-episode finale, but still, they did a very good job. And the way they ended it is very satisfying for the most part. And I cannot wait to see what happens next. And yes, I did cry about the fact that this show ended, because I've loved this show for so long. I've spent so much time on it. I actually figured out screen times for the characters in this show. And then I lost all of that because my computer crashed and it's on my hard drive. I hope I can get that back, because I need that was a lot of hours of my life spent on figuring out screen time. So I need that back. But yeah, I love the show. That's the point. I should probably stop saying that now. I'm sorry if I'm just rambling and just repeating what I've said. I just want to reiterate certain things, and I just want to make sure that it's clear what I think about this show. As I said, as much as I may hate some episodes or moments in episodes, as much as I'm like, ugh, There are just certain things in the show that I think could have done better. I'm extremely happy and satisfied with what we got at the end. So, yeah, I have my issues with the season finale, the series finale. But it's still a really good finale, actually, considering everything. Um, that's really all I can say. Jesus, I've been going on for a long time. I apologize if this is like a little bit just ramblings and random thoughts and reiterating a lot. I just try to get every single thought out there, and there's probably a shit ton that I forgot, so that's where I wonder what are your thoughts on all of this. It's a lot, I know, but like give me your thoughts on like, oh, maybe I missed this in my review and you want me to talk more about that, or tell me why I'm wrong with certain things. Tell me that I cannot dislike something in these episodes, or maybe you were like, oh, you like this? Huh. I was not a fan of the season series finale. So please, whatever you think, let me know in the comments below. And I hope that I can do a series review for the next animated show. We'll see. But if you've liked this review and you want to see more of my reviews, reactions, whatever I have on my channel, you can click right here.